Hey guys, welcome to another video for Falcon Biology. I wanted to just take a couple of minutes to look at a few terms that we discussed in class. So we're looking at the femur. This is the longest bone in the body, the strongest bone in the body. And so I wanted to look at the epiphysis, the proximal epiphysis, which is the part of the femur that is closest to the medial line. If you remember that imaginary line that bifurcates, that splits the body bilaterally in half. So you can tell that this is the proximal epiphysis because of the head of the femur that articulates with the joint or with the hip, creating a hip joint right here. So you can kind of see that right there. So that's kind of the tell sign that we're looking at the proximal end of the femur. And so now we're looking at the main shaft, which is the diaphysis, which will lead us distally to the distal epiphysis here. Okay, and this is where the kneecap would go. Right here, as you can see on this end right there, on the left end, that's the kneecap. So again, we're looking at the distal end. This is the distal epiphysis, the diaphysis, and then the proximal epiphysis here on the hip joint. Okay, so keep that in mind. So you might see that on the quiz or a test where I'm asking you about, so for example, a question would look something like, what joint is created when the proximal end of the femur joins with the other articulating bone. And I may not mention the pelvis because if I say pelvis, then it's going to be clearly obvious that it's the hip joint. But the things that would let you know that I'm talking about a hip joint would be the fact that I said the proximal end of the femur. Okay, now if I said the distal end of the femur, what joint is created by that part of the femur? The distal would be the knee joint. Okay, so just things to keep in mind, because I could easily apply that to, let's say, your humerus, right? So the proximal end would make the shoulder joint, the distal end would make the elbow. So just things to keep in mind and practice with your study groups or amongst yourselves. Okay guys, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.